Since you already know how to put a view controller into editing mode and handle cell selection, I've taken the liberty and handle that for you. If you build and run the app, add a course to the queue, and then switch over to the Queue tab, in the top left corner of the navigation bar, you can tap on Edit to put the view controller into editing mode. Since collection views don't have editing functionality built in, I've added an image view to the cell that only shows up when the cell's isEditing property is true. When you tap on the cell, this toggles the checkmark's selected state. The code is nothing fancy. In main.storyboard, you can navigate to the prototype cell and see that this is a simple image view, and I'm using the new iOS 13 SF symbols to create that image view with either a filled checkmark or an unfilled checkmark, and simply toggle between the two. The delete button that's in the nav bar is also wired up to the delete selected items method in queued tutorial controller. The method is empty at the moment, so let's add an implementation. When you're in editing mode, once the user has selected all the tutorials they're going to delete from the queue, you need to ask the collection view for these items. Next, you need to figure out which tutorials are associated with these cells. Remember, when you did this with old school collection views, you had to follow a couple steps. You get the selected index paths, then query the data by using the section value to get the outer collection, and then the item value to get at that particular item. With diffable data sources, this is much easier. Given an index path, the diffable data source can return an item, in this case a tutorial, if it is available. Using this method, you can iterate over all the selected index paths and get the selected tutorials. I'm using a compact map here because this method returns a nil, and compact map will discard it if it is nil, or unwrap it and assign it to this constant or the array if it isn't. With these tutorials in hand, you can now ask the data source to get rid of them. This is a quick two-step process. First, you ask the data source for its current snapshot. This snapshot is a picture of how the tutorials are represented in the collection view, and thereby the data source, at this very moment. We tell the snapshot that you want to delete a few tutorials by calling the delete items method. After the delete items call, the snapshot, not the data source, the snapshot reflects the state that you want the collection view to be in. So all you need to ask the data source to do to get you there is to apply this modified snapshot. With that, you can toggle editing off, and you're done. Diffable data sources make your lives much easier. You don't have to mess around with the actual data, and you don't have to worry about any particular order, and you don't have to worry about reloading the data or using specific collection view methods. All of it is housed in the data source. Everything flows through this apply method. It can handle initial setup and any subsequent changes to the data source. Build and run the app. And we're going to add several courses to this queue here. When you tap into queue and go into edit mode, you can select a few and then tap delete. Notice how you get that fade animation for free and the cells slide into the correct spots. Pretty easy, huh? Let's implement one more feature just to emphasize how great diffable data sources are.